Before we get started, had a couple more sales, online store. Got to say, appreciate you, Marcos. Appreciate you, Tony. And my dad also bought a t-shirt too, so I appreciate you guys. Check out the store and the website, livingforaliving.live, merch, all that stuff. Hear a little bit more about the story. And let's get into it.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good day, good night. However you're consuming this, welcome. A little bit late this week. I apologize. Recording here on a Thursday. Going to post on a Thursday. And we're on a bye week right now. No practice this week. Had our game last weekend in Helsinki. Shit, almost literally a week ago today. So I got a little bit to talk about. Was in Helsinki for the weekend. I've had a couple fun little nights here in Kuopio, although winter is approaching, man. It's coming back. It's starting to get dark now. You can just feel the energy and enthusiasm of the city being sucked away. And that's kind of scary. Also, we got restrictions now on bars. Again, none of this shit makes sense. I don't even know what the numbers are. I mean, that's just been the common theme for a year and a half, 2 years now. People just constantly, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. It's frustrating. It's scary, too, to think we could get back into more lockdowns over this pesky Delta variant. And my question is, man, I guess I'm getting right into what's really on my mind, huh? My question is, how do you know if you have Delta or you just have the regular COVID? Has anyone heard of anyone posting or saying, hey, I have the Delta variant? With social media being the way it is and people sharing everything, I feel like I would have seen a TikTok or a tweet or a Instagram post or something of a picture that someone has gotten the Delta variant. What is the difference? I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying I haven't seen any evidence for it being anything different besides this like thing that just is 50% more contagious and yada, yada, yada. And I mean, now with, I just feel bad for people, especially people that got vaccinated with the idea that like, okay, I'm doing my part. Now life's going back to normal. And now here they say, well, you can still get it. You can still pass it. You can still die from it. And now you still need to wear a mask. It's like, so that's the same shit that the unvaccinated people have? Yeah, but your chances of severe implications, symptoms, is much lower. Even though the chance of severe symptoms was already very low. So I just feel bad for those people. Because that's got to mentally be tough. I know, again, it just goes back to it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. I'll get back to that, but let's get into a little bit of football from this last weekend. We had our game against the second best team in the league, the Helsinki Roosters, who, as I said before, has been the perennial powers out here. And boy, that was a game. Battle of the big plays. We had a couple nice drives on offense, but a couple of just like Ant had a 90-yard run. We had like a 75-yard pass. Hannes's first 65. Yeah, I mean, battle of big plays, which hadn't really been our style most of the season. But we hung on, ended up winning 35-32, and the ending was wild, boy. We had a chance to put them away. Incomplete pass on a 4th and long in their territory, which was frustrating because it would have been nice to just end it. And then they drive down. We end up intercepting it in the end zone. It gets waved off, incomplete. I don't know how they said that or who said that, but it was definitely an interception. Then they kick a field goal. They miss the field goal. We're offsides. Again, I don't know if we were or not. And I'm not complaining about the refs because it goes with that game. At least it went both ways. That's like the positive thing with two good teams is it goes both ways. It sometimes is felt here like when we start to get up on teams, the refs almost want to keep it even. And that's just like human nature to think about that stuff. But it wasn't for or against anybody. I think we got a couple lucky calls. They got a couple lucky calls, missed calls here and there. So not complaining about that, although I'm like totally in one of this ref's head. Although he was cool. Because like I've been complaining all year to the refs, the fact that they don't blow the whistle when the play ends, which like I've just never heard of anywhere. The whistle at least gets blown. Well, somebody blows the. I mean, sometimes here there's a play will end and the whistle just doesn't get blown. And in some cases it's obvious, like quarterback sneaks, like stuff like that. You don't need when there's a big pile and everybody's down and everyone can see it. But on most plays that they're doing, the whistle needs to be blown. Guys are still up, forward progress. It's a fucking shit show. And so I'd complained about that probably too much to the refs, where I could tell after the last game, dude was a little not liking for me to talk. And finally, it gave me kind of a final warning. I said, all right. And then this game, I hadn't said nothing. And then they had like kind of a late hit kind of thing. And I just was like, hey, didn't say anything. And he just yelled at me, shut up. And I was like, bro, I am shut up. I didn't say shit. It was kind of ironic, me yelling. I was shut up. And it was just like, damn. I laughed as I went back to the huddle, and I was like, man, this dude is sensitive, and I'm in his head. And then after like halftime or at one point, he came up to me and said, hey, I just want to apologize. That was unprofessional, blah, 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 which he's right. It was. But I appreciate the apology. It's the second time this year refs have apologized to me. Guys who play with me know that I have no issue talking with the refs or talking at the refs. And people always think I'm going to get a flag. I've literally never gotten a flag doing it. I learned from the best, my coach, my junior year at New Haven, Coach Rosamondo. I was the backup that year, so I was always on the sideline calling, like listening to the play call right next to him. And he was the best shit talker to the refs in order to like get calls and like make sure. It's hard to explain, but I was on the sideline with him for 11 games or whatever it was that year, and boy, I learned some strategies. He literally one time, he knew all the refs' names, and he's, Jerry, what the fuck? Blah, blah, blah. And the ref said, Pete, stop. Not one more word. Not one more word. And he just looked at him and said, fuck you. And I was like, oh, we're for sure getting a flag now. Nope, no flag. So I don't know what it exactly is. I can barely describe what I'm doing. I can barely describe what he was doing, but there's a strategy to it. And I had another ref in Czech Republic apologize to me because he made the wrong call at like the end of halftime, we should have had a timeout, or I forget what it was. But it's just so ironic because everywhere I've played, people will say like, oh, you got to stop talking to the refs. They won't ever change their mind. They won't say sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden someone apologizes. And so, no, I guess I took that way further than I thought I was going to. The game was great. Let's see, what were some of the highlights of it? I threw a wheel, play action throwback wheel to Ant for a touchdown that if you would have told me before the game or before the season started that I was going to throw a touchdown on that play and that route against the Roosters, I would have bet a lot of money that I wouldn't have. Just because it's like one of those kind of plays where we practice it and like we'll throw it routes on air. And in my mind, I'm always thinking like, I'm never going to throw this. Because it just in order for it to all happen, I almost have to think before the play, like, yeah, I'm going to throw this. And that's kind of what I did in a way, is I knew I had my primary receiver, Jeff, and he was running a post corner. He ended up being open, but by the time I had rolled out and kind of saw where he was, could see the free safety getting over the top of it possibly, and I just, before the play, I looked at and I said, all right, bro, this might be the one. Because he doesn't like running the route that much because you got to run a long ways and the chances of getting the ball are bad. But then he always tells me he's wide open when I don't throw it to him. But then half the time he doesn't run the route. And so I said, all right, bro, run it. I think this is the one. And this is literally like right before the ball's being snapped. And sure enough, I get outside, look, Jeff hasn't gotten out of his route yet. I just said, all right, fuck it. Here we go. Plant my foot, turn back. Shoop. And they actually covered it pretty well, but not good enough. Perfect offense beats perfect defense always. And then what else? That was a big play. Ant had that 90-yard run. Again, I love playing with my dude Ant, and we were in Helsinki together this weekend because we'll be back there like before the snap, and I kind of see things, and I'll maybe mention, hey, I think cutback will be big on this one, or I think maybe bounce it on this one. And he does his thing because he can do things I can do in my dreams, but he'll listen, And so on the big 90-yard run, I say, hey, if you can bounce this one, bounce it. It's going to be big. And sure enough, he bounces it, gets one-on-one with a guy, a little hezzy move, and meow, see ya. And then what else? Kind of missed a couple balls. Just got to get on the same page with the receivers a little bit. But my dude Adele, our corner from France, he had a game. He ended up playing man against their import American receiver who 6'5", super athletic dude. And Adele's probably like 5'9", 5'10", and went toe-to-toe with them, had a ton of pass breakups, one interception, I think gave up one touchdown maybe. Yeah, one touchdown, maybe two. But that was all they could really do on offense. They ran the ball all right, threw it to another receiver. They found a little mismatch for us. But Adele, I ended up getting the player of the game somehow, but it should have been Adele, I thought. I don't know how I got it. Although the player of the game thing, they gave me a Roosters hoodie. Although they gave me this tote bag. And it was funny. I'd been thinking to myself, damn, I could really use a little tote bag. Thanks, universe. Win one. The hat and the hoodie they gave me are fucking whack, but the tote bag will be in use constantly. And then after the fucking game, I got drug tested. And it's wild to me, the fact that there's like anti-doping for this sport in Finland where a majority of the guys are doing it as a hobby. And I guess like testing for steroids has already been, I don't know, weed, drug laws and the views on drugs are just way different here, I guess, in general. But I was good. I was clean, baby. They can't get you, boy. And I was laughing because I had gone out on Tuesday last week. And leaving, ended up going, one of the guys, whenever I go out alone or with one other guy, I always end up making just a random homie friend that we're like homies for that night and then never talk ever again. And maybe I'll see him again at the bar. It's like, hey, what's up, bro? Kind of like one night stands with dudes, but nothing sexual. And so this dude was like, hey, we're having a pool party back at my place. You should come. So I go. And while we're walking to his apartment, a little group of people he's with, someone was smoking a joint, and they offered me it. And I'll be honest, man, I have not said no to a joint offering too many times in my life. I mean, can probably count it on one hand. Can't even really think of the last time I said no. But I just was like, nah, man. I said, nah, I can get tested for my game on Friday. And as soon as I said that, I was like, oh, I'm for sure getting tested. Thank you again, universe. Sure enough, game finishes and someone, hey, we got to interview you or something. And then I go, okay, go up to the guy. Hi, I'm the doping agency. I said, oh, all right. And I had to pee, luckily, so I went straight in, and they were actually super cool. So, but that was just a funny string of events. You can't catch your boy. And I knew they were going to do it in the mid-season for me. I knew it. Because after all the drama, or not even, I don't know, drama, after some of the stuff about talking about LSD, and the first time I did it, like, this was like 2 years ago when I did it, but when I talked about it was 7 months ago, in the off season. I knew they were going to try and get your boy, because after talking with one of the coaches on the other team, not the Roosters, he was kind of talking about it, giving me a little gossip of what some of the other people around the league have said, and it's just like, what? People's minds are just funny. And there's just so much ignorance, and not on purpose, not intentional, but just ignorance around drugs in general, especially here, but around the world, but especially here as well. It's it's funny, man. So yeah, then Friday, Saturday, we're in Helsinki with the homies and the crew. And Helsinki's dope. I really enjoyed Helsinki. I had no idea what to really expect. I'd only been to Tampere before that, which I really enjoyed. But Helsinki reminded me of a bunch of different cities that I've been or lived or traveled or whatever. And so it was like, depending on what street you were on, I felt like I was either, one street felt like Lisbon, like the kind of shopping area. I don't even know how to, I'm explaining the one in Lisbon. It's like the shopping area, like super nice one ways on both sides with a park that goes down the middle. Kind of reminded me of Barcelona at times, Prague a little bit, Stockholm, Copenhagen, all kind of blended together depending on where you looked and what street you were on. And Friday night we kept it chill, and then Saturday night ended up going out, but again the bars closed at like midnight there, and we went to this sick rooftop bar called Monkey Bar. I guess it was new, and like nobody was there. Sick DJ, the best DJ I've heard in Finland, no competition. And then the drinks were almost cheaper than the rooftop bar here in Kuopio, but I'm sure there's more competition in Helsinki. It's new. So, yeah, check that place out if you're Finnish in Helsinki. That was a good spot. I really enjoyed it. And so then we get back, about to call it a night, go out to smoke a cigarette, and all of a sudden we hear some music in the distance and some people, some chatter. I was like, what is that? What do you think that is? You want to go find out? So we go out into the street and we're like dogs, like looking around, trying to listen. The music's like bouncing off the walls and the buildings. Then we finally find it, and it's in this park. Walking up, and all of a sudden, fucking tent, DJ, people dancing in the dark. And I think we ended up staying there dancing for like an hour or two. And that was fucking fun. And that made me realize too, like, okay, this park party thing is a possibility. And then even last night when I was out with Buddy and his girlfriend, I think, and she was saying how, yeah, it's like, what are we going to do after this? Like, because at midnight, there's still a lot of nightlife. And after you've been going till 4 a.m. for 2 months or a month, however long it's been, it's hard to just cut it back off at the old midnight time. So I got to see what the weather's like. I gotta round the troops, but I got to figure out a little park party in the forest would be fucking dope. I just saw a thing on the internet about Berlin's underground secret raves that are going on amidst the pandemic, and people having to walk an hour through the forest and shit. Man, I think that's the ticket. I got to figure it out though. I need some speakers, need a table, need a lot of shit. But I think we can do it. I got to figure it out. And speaking of music, I was thinking about this the other day. It would be so helpful. This is very Black Mirror conspiracy-y in a way, but I'm actually all for this. Of imagine if you could see what soundtrack is playing in people's heads or headphones as you walked by, or like what they were like, what like their vibe kind of was. Because think about, I'm sure there's some people that you see that you think are maybe listening to like classical or something, and they're just gangster rock or like death metal or something. And then on the flip side, you can see what people are doing and just see where they're at. I was like, because I was thinking to myself, I'm walking around listening to music, and I forget what I was listening to, but I felt that whatever I was listening to didn't match with what I looked like. And it would be helpful for people to know what I was listening to, and then they could enjoy it. I don't know if that made any sense, but that would be sweet. Maybe that'll happen. The more everything's going on right now with vaccine passports and 1984 coming to real life and all this shit, just more and more life is feeling like a movie or like a video game in this strange way. So much of the whole, like, you create your own reality thing. Where I was thinking about it, my setup here at my house here in Kuopio, in this weird way, is how I pictured it. It's hard to put into words. But as I've, taken steps and steps forward, it's like I imagined my place looking kind of how it looks now. Being in a good spot and living alone and just like all the variables that go into it. And I keep thinking to myself, all right, well, if, I can do this here, let's start really imagining and working towards some sick shit. Even like the van is eventually going to happen. There's no fucking good vans for sale right now, but crypto's on its comeback. So the timing will be right with it. I just got to be patient. But that'll be something. And I guess you also then have to figure out what you want. Because if you don't know what you want or want to do, then it's hard to imagine it. And if you can't imagine it, then it's never really going to come true. Because you can't even then start to work towards this thing that you can even imagine. And so I don't know why, but for some reason I get this vision of like being in Asia with a dope kind of futuristic house. I have no idea how I'd get there or why I'd be there. And actually, it's like, I don't even know if that's really what I want, but that's like this vision I have. More so want to, have some land near the beach in Portugal. And then also maybe a spot here in Finland too. Finland in the summer is winning me over because of the temperature and the people. Portugal for the winter for the same reasons. So, yeah, that was random, I guess. It's just, yeah. The other thing, I'm a little all over the place with this one, I guess. But yesterday I was having a beer in the park, just hanging out, vibing. And sure enough, as the t-shirt says, don't talk to strangers, with the don't crossed out, I somehow attract the crazy people at times. Not crazy, that might be a little mean. Finland doesn't really have homeless people, but this guy is probably as close to that as I've seen here in Kuopio. And he came up, and I don't know if all the screws are working right. Had some kind of weird scabbing going on his head. I don't know if there's drug use. I don't know. Kind of had a weird bite. I don't know. Mentally, I don't know. But he ended up sitting down next to me. And I just took it for what it was. He spoke okay English. But it was like I gave him time. We talked, gave him some chips. He was trying to get a beer out of me. Didn't give him a beer. And I don't know what it is. There's, ironically, going back to that first time I did acid in Venice Beach. I had this experience at one point where our little group, drum circle, was a random hodgepodge group. And the dude next to me was a homeless guy. I mean, fucked up teeth, like super homeless. And at one point, after I'd kind of come to some realizations in my own mind while closing my eyes, I opened them and looked at him, and he just said, "It's so good to see you again, brother." And in the moment and in the time, and if you know, you know, it was like I knew that guy. And I've always felt this connection for whatever reason to homeless people. And so I don't know if, past lives or alternate realities or alternate universe, whatever it may be. I don't know what my belief is on that. There's just some weird little, I guess I can see myself in them very easily. I try to kind of see myself or see other people as just a different version of myself with a lot of things. But with homeless people, for whatever reason, I can see it more. And so like this dude's talking to me. I mean, he's definitely drunk, but also just like not all the way there, but listening, looking him in the eye, and just I don't want to like pat myself on the back because I don't know anything about this dude, but I got the impression that he wasn't used to being listened to. I'm sure a lot of people in those situations either kind of ignore him. Well, they do for sure ignore him. That's what I made up my own saying of being ignored like a homeless person. Because at one point he didn't know what the word was for something. And so some people were walking by and his social skills weren't very good. We'll be honest there. He could have said, excuse me. And he just, hey, Inglaski. And the people just didn't even look at him. And I'm sitting right with him, right next to him. But, and maybe they just thought two fucking crazy homeless guys sitting in a park bench. Fair enough. That's reasonable. I can deal with that. And so for that split second, I got to really feel what it was like. Even though it wasn't myself who was being ignored, I was kind of a part of that little group. And so I could just feel somewhat the appreciation of him being heard and listened to. And then at one point he went to the bathroom and he left it. He had a big trash bag with one beer in it. And he left it by me. He said, "Are you going to be here?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'll stay here." "Okay, I'll go to the bathroom." "Don't steal it." You can just there's these things he was kind of like a broken record. And whether it was the mental thing or the drunk thing or a combination of the both, it was, I thought to myself, again, I guess I'm patting myself on the back. I'm sure he's not used to being able to trust many dudes or trust people. So he came back. And at a certain point, I was thinking, all right, this is enough. I'm going to be on my way. And then it kind of became a game. And I thought, I'm going to outlast him. I'm going to stay here. He's going to get tired of talking to me, not the other way around. And eventually that did happen. And dude, he had some fucking funny little saying. The thing I'll never forget from this guy, his name was Christian. We got maybe 5-10 minutes into a conversation before I finally said, "Hey, what's your name, bro?" And the look on his face to get asked what his name was and for us to introduce ourselves to each other was special, man. More special than it should be. And so, I don't know. That kind of stuff, I think, goes a long way. Made me feel better. And who knows? Dude probably doesn't even remember me today. Guy said he drinks all summer and then goes sober for the winter. I don't know if I fully believe that. Maybe he does. And so I asked him, I go, "Okay, well, what day is the winter start? When do you stop drinking?" Because the dude had been drinking. But no, the funniest thing he said, he had a couple funny little, he'd go, Finnish humor. Do you like Finnish humor? I said, "Yeah, man, I think so. It's kind of dry, a little bit dark. Yeah, I like it." He goes, "Oh, yeah." And then at one point he said, "Oh, whoops." And I laughed at that just because of the way he said it. And he was like, that's a Finnish word. When you mess something up or something bad happens, you go, "Whoops." That's Finnish. Remember that one. He was convinced I was from New York and then also was convinced I was not from New York, I just let him roll with it. First I said Seattle. Didn't know where that was. I said, okay, New York. Close to New York. Closeness is always relative. But even like sorry to keep talking about a random homeless guy, but it's made me think like in terms of then the create your own reality thing and just wondering what the variables were for him to get to his point where he's acting and doing the things he did. He constantly was saying, oh, you don't want to go to Compton. You don't want to go to Compton, especially at night. It's super dangerous. He said that probably like 6 times throughout our conversation. And I said, well, how do you even know? Like what is the seed that's in your head for you to say that? Oh, I've just seen videos. I said, okay. I said, well, it's bad, but it's not that bad. But my point is, it's like, if we do then create our own reality, I wonder sometimes how or why people then, maybe with a mental illness or sickness or things like that, like what the frequency and what some of the triggers were in order to get those frequencies and then to continue them and let them build and I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm wondering. If you got an answer, let me know. I'd appreciate it. It's like, and I think there's a big thing with movies and TV shows and the programming, and I think that all, in terms of, this reality, it seems, I don't know, this is total brainstorming, that it's like a compilation of everyone's different realities that they've created for themselves. And so I'm just trying to like put some sense to some of this shit going on with, vaccine passports coming out, in New York and other places. They're going to be a thing. Like, I hate to be pessimistic. My mom would always say, I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just being realistic. And I don't think we're headed for a very good future right now, the way things are going. Unfortunately, I hope that we are, or I hope that I'm wrong, but just the way things are going. And so I just wonder, with years of, alien movies and sicknesses taking over the world, Bird Box and all these different movies and TV shows, The Walking Dead, things like, at some point are we collectively as a world creating some of this shit that's happening, in addition to the puppet masters doing their thing as well? The thing that I'm so grateful again about the U.S. is, because of at least the Republican states right now, I'm never worried that the U.S. will completely fall to this medical tyranny that's going on and happening. Because, maybe half the country will, and that's okay. They're free to do that. I know other countries that have been more susceptible to corruption and more susceptible to control over history. Because again, that's like in people's DNA in some weird way. The Americans get a lot of shit for kind of being hardwired with like freedom and liberty and that's what the country was built on, and that's why people went there. And it gets kind of made fun of by myself, thinking, oh, well, I mean, everywhere is free. I'm free here in Kuopio. I'm free, But as this stuff continues to unfold, you see, well, there is some places that are more free than others. I mean, right now, Israel, which is, I think in Gibraltar, I saw 99% of people are vaccinated. They're on lockdown. Israel is like one of the highest vaccinated states or countries. Lockdown. Australia, there's been like 9 deaths. Lockdown. It's like their 6th lockdown. People are the protests going on in Australia are crazy. But again, it's a lot easier to do some of that shit and have military take over things when motherfuckers don't have guns. Much easier. Although I saw in France with some of the protests, like cops are now mask off, walking with the protesters as well. It's a tough thing. And I don't know what the solution is. The thing that I saw a tweet that said, someone holding up a sign saying, riddle me this. If the tests work, why the false positives? If the masks work, why the 6 feet? If the 6 feet works, why the mask? If all 3 work, why the lockdown? If all 4 work, why the vaccine? And if the vaccine is so safe, why the no liability clause? I think those are all very good questions and something I've been saying from day one. I mean, it's funny. You can go back to episode, I don't know what it is, 15, 16. It's pretty crazy. This podcast has grown in the pandemic, strictly. Yeah, 15 or 16 or something with Adria. And this is like the 3rd week of lockdown in Barcelona, which was super, super strict because it was one of the worst places to be in the world. And we were like, dude, this is basically like a police state. It's what it's turning into. Had people unfriend me, unfollow me, tell me I was completely selfish and all these things because I thought that, because my friend's uncle's grandma has died from this. It's like, yeah, your friend's uncle's grandma was fucking 97 years old. And if she got a bad cold, she was probably going out. I'm not trying to make light of grandma deaths at all. Fortunately, my grandparents all died when I was super young, so I haven't been affected. I have less sympathy in a way for people losing. Well, I don't know if it's just, I don't know. It's nature. Unfortunately, that's what it is. It fucking sucks. But at the same time, that's the beauty of life. If you were just around forever, what the fuck's the point? The point that you have a finite amount of time and you need to do shit makes it fun. So, no, it's just, it's crazy, man. Again, nothing makes sense. Probably tired of hearing that. Vaccine passports coming to New York, or they're calling it the key to NYC. So to go into baseball games, restaurants. I don't think they said supermarket. Like, they keep kind of like saying it's going to be supermarkets that you're not going to be allowed into without the passport. But I don't see how that's going to happen. That one, I mean, just imagine the extra workers then you have to have. And for people not making, I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. That's the one that, like, I don't care about going to a restaurant or a bar or a baseball game anymore. As I said, I'll start doing parties in the park, get the van life going, and say fuck society. But food is a little bit more important. But there's always going to be people that don't agree and go against it. And there'll, an alternative community will pop up unless they all start getting taken away in trains. Going to be an alternate community, that's for sure. Oh, fuck. That's a joke, but that's way too fucking serious. And meanwhile, with New York NYC key to NYC vaccine passport rolling out, Obama's scheduled to have a party of like 700 people. I don't know if it's at his place. It's just in Twitter. But it just shows, man, like, this shit is like, it just depends who you are or who you aren't. And then, again, we got it's just deja vu all over again. Saying, with like me constantly saying it doesn't make sense. And throughout the last year and a half, the amount of times myself and other people have said those 4 words or whatever it is astronomical. But now there's, what's the tweet? Hold on, let me pull it up so I get it right. Oh, yeah, the Obama party is for his 60th birthday. Tim Dillon. This seems odd during a resurgence of a pandemic that requires masks and distancing and proof of vax and vaccine passports and lockdowns, no? Yeah, actually... Yeah, okay, deja vu. Says, masks, vaccines could stop COVID Delta variant spike within 2 weeks, CDC director says. So just 2 more weeks to stop the spread, to stop the spike. It's not spread now, it's spike. We got to change some words. Just 2 more weeks to stop the spike. Haven't we heard that before? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like the fact now that you don't have to be logical if you're in charge right now. Because half of the country just wants to be told, half the world just wants to be told, do this, do that, pay this, pay that, sign here, live there, think this, do that, and just and continue on your way. And so here, I'm going to play this video I'm talking about. This is Mayor de Blasio. Is that who it is? Mayor? I don't know if it's a fucking mayor or what is Blasio, de Blasio, talking about the vaccine passport. Let's play this.
So today I announce a new approach, which we're calling the Key to NYC Pass.
This dude is a fucking joke. I mean, if he doesn't look like the most crooked piece of shit politician you've ever seen, then I don't know who does. This is the same guy I shared a clip on who was eating fries and a burger in order to what is it called? Like hype up or advertise for the vaccine bribery, basically. Like this dude is a joke. It's hard to look at him and watch him, but it's fun too.
The key to New York City. When you hear those words, I want you to imagine the notion that because someone's vaccinated, they can do all the amazing things that are available in this city. This is a miraculous place, literally full of wonders. And if you're vaccinated, all that's going to open up to you. You'll have the key. You can open the door. But if you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things. That's the point we're trying to get across.
I mean, dude, it's not even hidden anymore. There's no data behind any of the, again, I asked it in the beginning. Can someone show me how we even know, how you can tell what the Delta variant even is? Like, is that a thing? I don't know. I know I've said multiple times, again, this is deja vu for me. I'm part of the process. I'm done talking about it. It's not going to change. But and then something fucking stupid like this happens again, and I got to talk about it again. Just like can't not. Yeah. And lockdowns. People are it's like so cool to be pro mental health right now. You know, they talk about Simone Biles or whatever her name is, and how she's so brave for mental health and da 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 da. Which I don't know all the details. I don't think she needs to be paraded around. We don't need to celebrate like that's the last thing she really wants in the grand scheme of things. If she's really going through some shit, you don't want to be celebrated for some thing that you view as a weakness. But yeah, mental health is so fucking cool, yet some people are adamant and avidly supporting lockdowns. I don't have the information. Again, that's not this kind of podcast. But I know that the numbers say, like, people that go in solitary confinement for jail and stuff like that don't come out as better people. That solitary confinement, locking people down, I know for myself it's not good. I've done the 2 lockdowns in 2 very different settings. One was in Barcelona, living with 2 girls in a tiny apartment. 2 Latina girls, I should add. That's drama. And then one was by myself in a small ass town in Czech Republic where not a lot of people around me spoke English. So I had those both things. And then even before I moved to Barcelona, I was doing, that was a wild decision by myself. I was doing long distance with this girl from Barcelona that I had met and known for a week before we decided to do 3 months of long distance while I was home for the summer, because I'd be returning to Barcelona. And I was like trying to save money, and then also I didn't want to go out because I was trying to be a good boy, because I'd done long distance in the past and wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best either. So I viewed this as a challenge to myself. I'm going to be very faithful. Had a chance with a hot yoga teacher. Turned it down. It's like turning it down a joint for me. Same thing, saying no to a hot yoga teacher. That's happened probably once in my life. And actually 2 kind of hot. I don't know if one was a yoga teacher. She did yoga in the class too. Yeah. And so anyway, I wouldn't go out because I didn't want to tempt myself, didn't want to spend money. I didn't really have a ton of people to go out with either, so that helps. And so I was on my own shit at home constantly. I don't even know what I was doing. For a little bit, I wasn't smoking. For some time, then I would just get high all day, every day. And that's not a recipe for success for your boy either. And after those 3 months of self-inflicted lockdown, man, it took me a while to get out of that. A little bit easier because I could leave, I could go do shit, but it's just that same part of when you're lacking connection in general. Human to human connection is fucking huge. I was talking about this with a guy yesterday, the guy that I met at the bar. He's from Cuba and lives here. And we were talking, it was me, him, this other dude who's Asian dude but born, raised in Finland, and then just a Finnish dude. And we were explaining how, just the lack of hellos that happen on the street in Finland changes the vibe up. And he was explaining, it's like nice back home. He had a lot of bad things to say about Cuba, but then also was saying, the nice thing is like you walk around the corner, you see that guy, hey, what's up? Go to, oh, hey, what's up? And it was the same kind of shit for me. And I think that's why I have such a strong feeling towards Lisbon, because at my time there, I lived in 2 completely different parts of the city. First year was like the hood. Second year was like city center. And I mean, I guess, yeah, city center more or less. But in both places, I had little connect. I knew the old people at the bakery that we couldn't really talk, but I'd pass them. I'd buy some bread. Hola. A lady at the cafe. There was a dog that was always out on the first window as I walked by named DJ. I remember this kind of shit. In the second place I lived, I had my homie Sanjuk with the Nepalese restaurant right down the street. Had another like an Indian dude or Pakistani dude who had a little corner store next to me. Other Nepalese guys who had a corner store right next to me. My cafe with Antonio, Portuguese dude who I spoke Portuguese to. And so just in that matter of like, if you were walking home with me one day and I took a certain route, you would have thought I fucking owned the city. And just, hey, what's up? Hey, hola. What's up, bro? Blah, blah. Like people coming up. And that shit like makes you feel a part of something. And you take that away, that it's special. It's really special. And you take that away, especially for then like older people, retired people. Man, that shit gets depressing. You don't have, that little hi, what's up, fist bump, is so much bigger than that. And it's cool. Like I'm fortunate because here in Kuopio, I'm like kind of starting to get that a little bit. I went and got this water and some juice before I did this, and I ended up seeing 2 teammates as I walked past them. I kind of like at this point know a couple of the people at the grocery store that we kind of like. It's very subtle, but it's like a acknowledging hello. Just seeing people out, random people I've met throughout. Normally drinking here, that's the best way to meet people in Finland, but those like little hellos and what's ups, man, they go so far. They go so fucking far. Where am I at? I don't even know how I got onto that. Oh, I'm saying lockdowns ain't the answer, player. What do we got here? What do we got? I think we'll close out little Olympics news. There are a couple just random things. Yeah, but first, like the Olympics, the trans girl ended up not winning or not even medaling in the weightlifting competition, which one way or the other, it doesn't make too much of a difference to me, to be honest. That video of that little clip of me talking about it last week, I put on TikTok, and it's like violates community guidelines for hate speech. And I literally just say like, I don't care about women's weightlifting. So that's now hate speech. It's just with the trans stuff, dude, do whatever you want to do. Cut it off. Add 1. Add 2. All I care. Get both. It'll just be interesting to me to see, because right now when it's only one sprinter, when it's only, oh shit, yeah, I forgot. Also the trans, there was another trans in like a running competition, won by so much, like so much, not even fucking close, crazy. I'll put that, yeah, we'll put that right there. Like, dude, I was in bed watching that on Saturday morning, just chuckling to myself. But it's like right now it's okay and it's cool. And again, if girls are okay with it, of having to compete against a born biological man, then pro-choice. Let them choose. You know, the thing right now, it's like, it's okay and it's special because it's only one person. You know, it's one weightlifter. It's one sprinter. It's one person. It's one girl on the soccer team. It's one. I just wonder if the tone will change and the views will change if over time then, what if the soccer team then is 7 out of the 11 starters are trans? Is it still cool? Is it still acceptable? You know, at what point is the like breaking point that, okay, you know, let's, for example, use the soccer thing, that 7 out of 11 of the team become trans, of the starters. But trans is only like 1% of the population. 2% max. So you're going to say then that 75% of the best soccer players in the country come from 2% of the population? Now I know with NFL, NBA, although NBA not so much, Europe's taken over a little bit, and NFL's slowly going to get, Europe's going to take over too. Not take over, but have an influence. I know you could kind of say, well, you know, 80% of the NFL is black dudes, and that makes up 15 or 16% of the population. That's fair, but 15 or 16% is still much bigger than 2% or 1% or the anomaly. So I don't know. That's where my thinking goes for it. I'm not competing. I have no horse in the race. I don't really give a fuck. I personally don't think it's right. But my opinion is pretty moot and irrelevant for that. So I don't know. That's the thing I can't wait to see. No, I shouldn't say I can't wait. I'll be curious to see if it then starts becoming much more common and it's not just 1, 2. And in a weird way, it's like the ultra feminism, like eating its own tail in a way. You know, fuck the patriarchy, fuck men, blah, blah, blah. And then literally full circle. Okay, so we're going to create our own sports for women only. And then at a certain point, then it's now biologically men will start to take it over again. And it's like, what? I should probably get canceled for saying that. Oh, well, this is at last, or an hour in. Only think about, hey, shout out to everybody who's been tuning in. Spotify numbers have been crazy lately. Yeah, they've been super crazy. I think I'm at like 100 viewers, average viewers right now on Spotify. That's sick. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. YouTube, same thing. I think normally there's about 20 or 30 of y'all that watch all the way through. Mad appreciation. Same kind of thing on Spotify. If you want to do the comment, like, subscribe thing, that'd be cool. Spotify, I don't know how to boost that up at all. I hope you're following on that. If not, it's all good. I appreciate your time. Have a couple other things written down, but I don't know if we're going to call it a day. All right. I heard tonight that one of the bars is having €2 beers. I might have to go investigate. Keep you updated. Till next time. Peace and much love. Holla.
Tell me, baby.
Yeah.
What's that story? Cause I've been thinking about you lately.
Yeah, come on.
Tell me, darling. else? You're a star, girl.
What else?
How the fuck do you not know the deal?
What else?
I've been thinking about you lately, and
What
it's
else?
got me going crazy.
What else?
I'm playing for you, baby.
What
Listen up, listen up. Got me thinking about you, baby. And it's happening all the time. So I'm playing for you, darling. Now listen up, listen up.
Listen up.